clock strikes 12 and the ceiling starts to fade. Heavy velvet curtains pulled against a night parade. I'm sinking through the mattress in a slow motion dive, counting smoke rings just to feel a little more alive.
The matchbox scratch is the only sound that cuts the room.
Shedding layers of the day like a snake breaks out his tomb.
The windows crack an inch, but the air stays thick and sweet.
While the restless ghosts of city life are pacing down the street.
My fingertips are numb, tracing shadows on the wall, waiting for the gravity to catch me when I fall. Take another pull and let the static wash away. The indigo is deeper than the colors of the day. I am drifting on a tide that doesn't need a shore, lowering my pulse until I'm floating off the floor. It's a hazy sort of peace in the hollow of the night, turning down the volume on the blinding morning light.
The hum of the refrigerator sings a lonely tune. I'm staring at the silver sliver of the waning moon. There's a blues guitar, summer weeping through the floorboards, lost in minor changes and the secrets of the chords.
No more questions asked, and no answers left to find. Just the slow unraveling of a tangled inner mind.
Matches on the nightstand burned out to the dark,
rubbing out the glowing of the final tiny spark.
The radiator hisses like a kettle on the stove,
hidden in the corners of this quiet cedar grove.
My thoughts are spinning circles like a record on a deck,
the weight of every burden falling off my tired neck.
The asphalt in the distance has a ribbon kind of side.
Underneath the vastness of an empty velvet sky,
there's the passenger of time wrapped in wool and wires and heat.
Listen to the heartbeat of a pavement and the fleet. Let the static wash away. The indigo is deeper than the colors of the day. I am drifting on a fire that doesn't need a show, lowering my pulse until I'm floating off the soul. It's a hazy sort of peace in the hollow of the night, turning down my volume on the blinding morning light. Take another pull and let the static wash away. The indigo is deeper than the colors of the day. I am drifting on a tide that doesn't need a show, lowering my pulse until I'm floating off the floor. It's a hazy sort of peace in the hollow of the night, turning down my volume on the blinding morning light.
Clock face froze at 12 months of rain. The window silts up with the gray and the pain. I am tracing the paths of the veins in my hand, watching the hourglass bleed out the sand. A thick blue haze crawls across the floor, underneath the crack of the heavy oak door. The cedar is burning, the air turns to gold, telling the stories that never were told. Slow down the spinning of the iron gold, wrap the night around like a velvet robe. The silence is heavy, the shadows are deep, counting the promises people should keep. One more breath for the road ahead, where the ink turns black and the sky turns lead. My boots are heavy with the dust of the trail. A harmonica moans like a ghost in a jail. The radio hums, but the voices are gone. Just a low frequency, waiting for dawn. There is a map on the table, marked with the ghost of the things that I wanted and needed the most. I am drifting away on a heavy line tide, with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. The stars are just holes in the ceiling above, leaking the remnants of labor and love. The smoke rings are halos for sinners and saints, covering up all the cracks and the complaints. Slow down the spinning of the iron glow, wrap the night around like a velvet robe. The silence is heavy, shadows are deep, counting the promises people should keep. One more breath for the road ahead, when the ink turns black and the sky turns lead. clock is bleeding oil on the hardwood floor. Turning the handle on the heavy velvet door. 420 ghosts sitting on the windowsill. Tasting the gravity, watching the world stand still. My lungs are heavy with a thick blue shade, tracing the scars that the daylight made. The jazz is a ghost walking through the hall. Shadows are climbing up the plaster wall, yeah. Slow down, spinning up the rusty gears, drowning out the static of the past 2 years. Let the heavy smoke call me like a long lost friend, until the silver lines begin to bend. Sweet hazy medicine for a weary soul, falling down deep in a black ink hole. Slow down, spinning up the rusty gears, drowning out the static of the past 3 years. Let the heavy smoke call me like a long lost friend, until the silver lines begin to bend. Sweet hazy medicine for a weary soul, falling down deep in a black ink hole. Copper strings humming in a low down frequency, losing my grip on the law of decency. The moon is a coin tossed in a murky lake, bound to the promise that the sleepers break. No more questions in a violet fog, just the low growl of the city dog. And the street lamps are faded into amber dust. The iron in my veins is turning to rust. Exhaling the ghosts of a long busy street, where the cold concrete and the midnight meet. Matches are flickering like dying sparks, navigating maps in the velvet dark. Comfort is a cloud with an edge of gray, keeping the coming of the dawn away, yeah. Low down, the spinning of the rusty gears, drowning out the static of the past 2 years. Let the heavy smoke fold me like a long lost friend, until the silver lines begin to bend. Sweet hazy medicine for a weary soul, falling down deep in a black ink hole. Slow down, the spinning of the rusty gears, drowning out the static of the past 2 years. Let the heavy smoke hold me like a long lost friend, until the silver lines begin to bend. Sweet hazy medicine for a weary soul, falling down deep in a black ink hole. Clock strikes 12 and the ceiling starts to melt, tracing silhouettes of shadows that I never felt. Big silver clouds dancing around the velvet lamp. The air is heavy and the rolling paper is down. I'm sinking deep into the fabric of the sofa springs, listening to the hum that the quiet evening brings. No phone calls ringing, just the static in my head, counting all the moments and the words I never said. The street lamp filters through the dusty window pane, washing out the color of the worry and the stain. I hold the smoke until my pulse begins to slow, watching how the embers start to lose their orange glow. And it is midnight in the valley of my weary mind, leaving every heavy burden for a day behind. Just a slow exhale to clear the clutter, dust the air, finding pieces of the peace I thought was never there. Let the bluesy gravity pull me to the ground, walking through the silence where the hidden truths are found. Got a guitar string snapping in a minor key, the ghost of some old Jasmine is sitting next to me. He does not say a soul, but he dance to the beat, as the logic of the day makes a graceful retreat. My lungs are full of ghosts and a history of rain, numbing out the sharper edges of a phantom brain. The 420 haze is a thick and holy shroud. I am leaning on the edges of a purple tinted cloud. Logic is a chain that I finally unbound, listening to the rhythm of the spinning world go round. No more racing for the prize that I do not want to win, just a slow rotation of the galaxy within. It is midnight in the valley of my weary mind, leaving every burden far and behind. Just a slow exhale to clear the clutter, dust the air, finding pieces of the peace I thought was ever there. Let the movie gravity pull me to the ground, walking through the silence where the hidden trucks are found. pieces of the beast I thought was memory. Let the bluesy gravity pull me through the frown, waking through the silence where the hidden truths are found. Amid this midnight, in the valley of my weary mind. Even let me burn for and get behind. Cause the slow exhale, the clear the cloud, it dust the air. Finding pieces of the piece I thought was never there. Let the bluesy gravity pull me to the ground, waking through the silence where the hidden truths are found. The clock is leaving shadows on the hardwood floor. My gravity keeps tugging at my dusty door. I watch the heavy silence turn to velvet gray and let the jagged edges of the morning fray. The butane flicker meets the green and dried out leaf. A momentary truce, a temporary brief. The ceiling fans are spinning like a slow marquee, recording every ghostly thought inside of me. I drift across the patterns of the woven web beneath the heavy pressure of a soulful shrub. The base is thick and muddy like a swampy night. It swallows up the flickering of candlelight. My eyes are heavy anchors in a sea of glass, watching all the static in the minutes pass. I find a hidden hollow in the sofa spring and listen to the hollow way the copper sings. The blue smoke curls like a question I forgot, tying up the tangle of a weary knot. The street lamps outside act like fading stars, bleeding through the window in the iron bars. Exhale the heavy spirit to the midnight air. Leave the worry tattered lining over there, floating on a current where the time stays still, waiting for the quiet and the cool and chill. Descending through the layers of a hazy dream, flowing like a river through a steady stream. No one chasing shadows down the avenue, just the indigo and violet and the deepest blue. The speakers breathe a rumble from a distant shore. I wonder what the hungry world is hunting for. Behind the heavy curtains where the world survives, they're trading in the hours and the hollow lies. But here the resin lingers in a thick embrace, erasing every feature from a weary face. The ice is melting slowly in a plastic cup. I'm sinking down so far, I'm looking straight back up. My bluesy guitar finger picks a lonely chord, sweeping off the dust upon the drafting board. The matches lie in piles like a graveyard fence, giving some direction to the lost intents. I'm counting up the circles that the smoke can make before the brittle day begins to wake. The flavor of the vapor is a piney musk, turning all the daylight into endless dusk. The blue smoke curl like the question I forgot, tying up the tangle of a every night. The street lamps outside act like fading stars, leading through the window in the iron bar. Exhale the heavy spirit to the midnight air. Leave the worry tattered lining over there, folding on a current where the time stays still, waiting for the quiet and the cool and chill. Descending through the layers of a hazy dream, woven like a river through a steady stream. No one chasing shadow down the avenue, just the indigo and violet and the deepest blue. Yeah. The clock face goes its way past 12, digging deep into the cupboard shelf. Matches scratch against the heavy hum, waiting for the holy smoke to come. Yeah, blue smoke ribbons weave a lazy chain, tracing maps across the window pane. Found a frequency in the floorboard creak, nothing left for the loud to speak. Yeah, gravity is just a suggestion now, wiping the static from a heavy brow. Yeah, the baseline thunders like a distant train, watch the city dirt right out the brain. Yeah, slow motion thoughts in a velvet line, trading the sun for a better sign. Couch cushions swallow up the world outside, nowhere to run and no need to hide.
The moon sits low like a silver coin, where the shadows and the light rays join. Halfway gone, but I'm fully here. The atmosphere is crystal clear. Breathe it out, let the ceiling spin, where the blues end and the grace begins. 42 ways to lose the weight, drifting through the golden gate. Heavy eyes and a lighted soul, half a spark makes a circle whole. Midnight exhale sets the spirit free, floating on a silent sea.
Old blues guitar on a dusty track, crying now for what we can't take back, yeah. But the rhythm keeps a steady hand, sifting through the hours like desert sand, yeah. The kitchen light is a faded glow, yeah. Keeping time with the pulse below, yeah. No more questions in the thick of it, yeah. Just the flame and the wick of it, yeah. Street lamps flicker in a lonely road, yeah. Watching the honey-colored river flow, yeah. Every worry is a paper kite, yeah. Caught in the branches of the cooling night, yeah. Take a pull of the thickened air, cone the tangles from a frantic care. The speaker vibrates a soulful moan, king of a kingdom on a fabric throne, yeah.
The moon sits low like a silver coin, where the shadows and the light rays join. Halfway gone, but I'm fully here. The atmosphere is crystal clear. Breathe it out, let the ceiling spin, where the blues ends and the grace begins. 42 ways to lose the weight, drift on through the golden gate. Heavy eyes and a lighter soul, half a spark makes a circle whole. Midnight exhale sets the spirit free, floating on a silent sea.
In the marrow of a heavy club, the pendulum is swinging through the gray smoke. Shadows stretching tall across the pine floor, counting every pattern on the wooden door. The city is a fever that finally broke, leaving just the embers and a quiet soak. Heavy lungs are dragging on the velvet thick, watching how the flame licks the hollow stick. Moonlight is a liquid on the windowsill, steady as the pulse when the world is still. Every ragged edge starts to round away, melting down the iron of a frantic day. Nothing but the gravity and easy grace, floating in the silence of a hollow space. Let the heavy curtain fall across the sight, drowning in the violet of a slow descent tonight. Notes are leading through the plaster wall, hanging like a code in a dim lit hall. Mercury is rising in a glass of gold, stories of the pavement that were never told. Feet are getting tangled in a lazy weave, nothing up the sleeve but a long reprieve. The calendar is burning in a copper bowl, finding every corner of a thirsty soul. Copper and the silver and the indigo, moving with the tide in a steady flow. Weightless as a feather on a sinker line, tasting all the honey and the beer wine. Spirals in the ceiling start to hum a tune, catching all the dust from a waning moon. Fingers tracing patterns in the heavy dark, waiting for the furnace to forget the spark. The lock is in the cradle and the key is gone, wading through the ocean of a coming dawn. Everything is softer than it was before, drifting like a ghost across the kitchen floor. Moonlight is a liquid on the windowsill, steady as the pulse when the world is still. Every ragged edge starts to round away, melting down the iron of a frantic day. Nothing but the gravity and easy grace, floating in the silence of a hollow space. Let the heavy curtain fall across the side, drowning in the violet of a slow descent tonight. clock stops breathing at the strike of 12. The heavy smoke begins to carve its shelf. Across the ceiling where the shadows play, yeah, dissolving every fragment of the day. I watch the floorboards drift away from sight and lean into the velvet of the night. The window frame is leaking silver dust while I'm here dissolving quiet rust. I am the passenger of slow release, finding the center of a jacket piece. My lungs are heavy with the herb and wood, understanding things I never understood. The gravity is lost in ancient grip upon this hazy and translucent ship. The slow burn hums of your steady tune beneath the gaze of a hollow moon. We are the ghosts of a silent spark, floating through the ocean of the dark. Upon this hazy and translucent ship, the slow burn hums of your steady tune beneath the gaze of a hollow moon. We are the ghosts of a silent spark, floating through the ocean of the dark. Calendar is just a wall of wool as the tide of rebel air begins to peel. I do not need to walk or even stand to reach the borders of this altered land. The corners of the room have turned to glass, watching a parade of hours pass. The gravity's lost its ancient grip upon this hazy and translucent ship. Slow burn hums a low and steady tune beneath the gaze of a hollow moon. We are the ghosts of a silent spark, I'm floating through the ocean of the dark. The gravity is lost its ancient grip upon this hazy and translucent ship. Slow burn your and steady tune beneath the gaze of a hollow moon. We are the ghosts of a silent spark, I'm floating through the ocean of the dark. The clock face goes into a zero frame while embers paint a circle in the dark. No shadows left to carry out a name, just a lonely glow and velvet spark. The ceiling drips a mile above the floor. Heavy hands are searching for the key to open up a window or a door, to let the evening set the spirit free. A wall clock stopped that ticking for a while. The heavy air begins to taste like cold. There is a secret hidden in a smile, a rolling story waiting to be told. Floating on the exhale of the moon, the heavy smoke is leaning on the glass. The midnight garden is a hazy blue, where every heavy minute learns the past. Beyond the borders of the waking mind, above the valley where the hair A slow promise that the soul can't keep. A vinyl needle scratches on the soul. The low frequencies are breathing in the room. The broken pieces finally feel whole beneath the silver canopy of gloom. The silver paper crinkles like a ghost. A sudden warmth is rising through the chest. To every weary traveler, a toast before the racing pulse begins to rest. Oh, our clocks stop their ticking for a while. The heavy air begins to taste like gold. There is a secret hidden in a smile, a rolling story waiting to be told. Floating on the exhale of the moon, the heavy smoke is leaning on the glass. The midnight garden is a hazy gloom, where every heavy minute learns to pass. Beyond the borders of the waking mind, above the valley where the heavy sleep, the kind of quiet that is hard to find. A slow promise that the soul can't keep. Clock is bleeding shadows on the hardwood floor, while the moon hangs heavy like a silver dollar at the door. I pulled a velvet from the silence of the night, chasing the heavy smoke until the edges feel light. Another cycle of the breath and the slow release, trading the city noise for a moment of crooked peace. My lungs are heavy echoes in a sea of gray, watching the ghosts of the afternoon drift away. The dial is spinning somewhere back in 64, a muddy guitar weeping through the cracks beneath the door. I found a rhythm in the cooling of the glass, counting the minutes while the constellations pass. No need for compass or a map to find a way when the horizon is a shade of blue and slate and clay. The ashes falling like a feather made of lead, folding the blankets of the thoughts inside my head. Take a drawing of the deep and the dark, looking for a landing in a glowing spot. Let the heavy water wash the weary bone, walking through the garden of the midnight zone. When the world is just a flicker in a hazy eye, floating on the current where the lonesome glide. Keep the engine running on a steady slow, nowhere left to carry all the things we know. Trouble sleeping in the easy chair, I see his weary spirit in the thickening air. There is a secret hidden in the burning leaf, a sudden sharp departure from the heavy grief. The walls are stretching like a piece of ancient gum, tuned to the frequency of a low and steady hum. I gave my worries to the chimney and the flute. Now there is nothing but the faded purple hue. The mercury is coming down to touch the ground. The only movement is the spinning of the sound, a gentle tilt across the axis of the roam, watching the lilies of the evening start to bloom. Take a drawing of a deep and a dark, looking for a landing in a glowing spark. Let the heavy water wash the weary bone, walking through the garden of the midnight zone. When the road is just a flicker in a hazy eye, loading on the current where the lonesome lie. Keep the engine running on a steady slow, nowhere left to carry all the things we know. Black face froze on a jagged line. heavy smoke, silver by the pale moonlight. I walk the sidewalk, searching for a ghost. Found a velvet shadow where the wind's cold. Tracing the ringlets of a slow burning spark. Deep in the pocket of the quiet and dark. The gravity is shifting beneath my worn soul, while the heavy sky fills up its empty hole. A blue note is hanging on a rusty railing across the alley where the light is failing. My lungs are holding on to a thick gray cloud, turning down the noise that used to be loud. The street lamp is flicking a yellow light, watching the heavy smoke drift toward the sky. I'm stepping over cracks and sunken dreams. Nothing is as solid as it truly seems. Exhale the heavy weight into the middle of the night. Let the bitter flavor make the world feel right. Slow down the spinning of the dusty glow. Wrap the silence around me like a heavy roll. The 420 haze is a thick and lonely bridge built across a valley on a jagged ridge. Just keep breathing till the stars go dim, floating through the ocean on a broken limb. The saxophone is crying in the basement flat. The notes are thick and lazy and a little fat. I am leaning on a brick wall, feeling the cold, looking for a secret that has not been told. The embers dancing like a dying sun, knowing that the day had finally been done. My mind is a river with a gentle flow, going everywhere that I do not know. The blues is a passenger inside my chest, looking for a corner where it's allowed to rest. I see the city through a foggy lens, making peace with all the missing friends. There's a comfort in the way the ash falls down, silent as a feather on a sleeping town. No more questions left for me to ask, taking off the heavy wooden social mask. Exhale the heavy weight into the middle of a night. Let the bitter flavor make the world feel right. Slow down the spinning of the dusty glow. Wrap the islands around me like a heavy roll. The 420 haze is a thick and lonely bridge built across a valley on a jagged ridge. Just keep breathing till the stars go dim, floating through the ocean on a broken limb. Exhale the heavy weight into the middle of the night. Let the bitter flavor make the world feel right. Slow down the spinning of the dusty glow. Wrap the silence around me like a heavy roll. 428, there's a thick and lonely bridge built across a valley on a jagged ridge. Just keep breathing till the stars go dim, floating through the ocean on a broken limb.
Clock fast close into a single gold blur. A heavy velvet drape pulled across the world. I am dragging silver anchors through the carpet, watching gravity unfold his map upon the floor. The smoke is a slow blooming vine in the hallway, a silent conversation between the lungs in the air. Every corner is softening into a curvature, finding the place where the solid becomes a vapor. The stars are leaking through the window blinds, ticking like copper coins in a hollow jar. The silence is a thick liquid we are wading through, measuring the heartbeat by the length of the glow. Take a breath and let the horizon dissolve. The heavy crown of the day is falling away. We are drifting on a tide of slow motion amber, where the shadows have no edges left to sharp. The ceiling is an ocean reflecting the quiet. We are the only ones awake in the dream of the city. The radiator hums a low frequency hymn, counting the seconds until the morning finds a reason. My cans are drifting like autumn leaves in a basin, touching the texture of a hum in the haze. The wood grain is moving like a river beneath me. I have forgotten the weight of my own name. There is a sanctuary built in the exhaled ghost, a temple made of clouds and a steady pulse, yeah. Take a breath and let the horizon dissolve. The heavy ground of the day is falling away. We are drifting on the tide of slow motion amber, where the shadows have no edges. Let the shark, the sea that is an ocean, reflecting the quiet. We are the only ones awake in the dream of the city. Take a breath and let the horizon dissolve. The heavy crown of the day is falling away. We are drifting on the tide of slow motion amber, where the shadows have no edges. Let the shark, the seaman is an ocean, reflecting the quiet. We are the only ones awake in the dream of the city. Take a breath and let the horizon dissolve. The heavy ground of the day is falling away. We are drifting on the tide of slow motion amber, where the shadows have no edges. Left the shark, the ceiling is an ocean, reflecting the quiet. We are the only ones awake in the dream of the city.
Clock strike 12, like a heavy velvet curtain falls. White smoke crawling up the cracks along the plaster walls. Shadows dancing slow across the dusty wooden floor. I am drifting sideways through an unlocked cellar door. The world outside is frozen in a sad gray delay, while I am melting through the cracks of a spent Saturday. Passion amber glowing like a distant desert sun, counting all the threads until the tapestry is spun. My heavy eyelids holding back a tide of quiet gold. Stories in the embers that have never been retold. The ceiling fans are spinning out a slow and hazy rhyme. I am wading neck deep through the thickest parts of time. Breathing in and let the heavy pressure dissipate, floating on a frequency that doesn't have a weight, losing every tether to the movement of the street, finding all the solace in the quiet and the heat. Wrapped inside a fever dream that lingers in the chest. Lay your heavy thoughts down in a momentary rest. The radiator hums a low, steady, hollow prayer. Circles made of nothing, just are hanging in the air. I forgot the question, but the answer feels so right. Caught within the ripples of the middle of the night. Every jagged corner seems to soften at the edge, balancing the spirit on a high and narrow ledge. The clock is ticking backwards in a rim and collar haze, navigating through the turns of a mental purple maze. Gravity is loosening his fingers from my wrist, dissolving like a vision in a cinematic mist. Breathing in and let the heavy pressure dissipate, flowing on a frequency that doesn't have a weight. Ease of what we gather to the movement of the street, finding all the solace in the quiet and the heat. Wrapped inside a fever dream that lingers in the chest. Lay your heavy thoughts down in a momentary rest. Breathe in and let the heavy pressure dissipate, floating on a frequency that doesn't have a weight. Miles of every tether to the movement of the street, finding all the solace in the quiet and the heat. Wrapped inside a fever dream that lingers in the chest. Lay your heavy thoughts down in a momentary rest.
Black face stutters at the vertical line. Dust smokes dancing in the amber shine. I kick the heavy boots off by the sagging frame. Forget my social digits and my middle name. The velvet curtain of the gravity pulls, filling up the hollows in our fractured skulls. The thick sweet paper is a heavy hand, tracing out a map onto a no man's land. I got the window cracked just a finger wide, letting all the static of the city slide. My lungs are heavy like a leaden bell, bringing out a secret that I'll never tell. Slow down the motion of the spinning ball, catch the blue reflection on the plaster wall. The gray smoke ghosts are rising from the floor. I don't need the handle of the wooden door. Heavy in the narrow and the heart is light, drifting through the marrow of the indigo night. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Hey. Copper strings vibrating on a hollow box, counting all the ticking of the rusty shots. Turn the volume down until the bass is bone, sitting on a kingdom and a corduroy throne. Everything eroded at the jagged edge, balanced like a feather on a limestone ledge. Ice cubes sweating in a plastic cup, watching how the shadow try to eat us up. The lighter flickers like a dying spark, carving out a temple in a quiet dark. My vision's grainy like an old-time film, captain of a sofa at the steady helm. The blues is breathing through the stereo mesh, soothing all the friction of the tired flesh. No more questions in the burning air, just the steady comfort of the easy chair. The horizon is a smudge of violet ink, floating in the silence where the feelings sink. Gravity is honey and the moment's deep, swaying on the border of a lucid sleep. Slow down the motion of a spinning ball, catch the blue reflection on the pastel wall. Gray smoke ghosts are rising from the floor. I don't need the handle of the wooden door. Heavy in the marrow and my heart is light, drifting through the barrow of the indigo night. Oh, 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 oh. Slow down the motion of a spinning ball, catch the blue reflection on the plaster wall. Gray smoke ghosts are rising from the floor. I don't need the handle of the wooden door. Heavy in the narrow and the heart is light, drifting through the narrow of the indigo night.
Clock is a zero and the room starts to lean. Half light dancing on a velvet screen. I'm tracing circles in a heavy haze, lost in the static of these amber days. The needle drops on a dusty groove, too slow to hurry and too still to move. My shadow stretching out across the floor. I don't remember what I was looking for.
Clouded visions in a steady stream, floating silent in a awakened dream. The air gets thick with the herbal heat, gravity is falling to a slower beat.
Hold the breath until the world goes gray, let the midnight wash the noise away. Floating easy through the indigo, nowhere left for a restless soul to go.
Just a spark in a dawn release, finding corners of a jagged keys. Keep it rolling till the morning light, drifting through the nectar of the night.
Old blues chords playing through the wall, the ceiling's rising as the shutters fall. Wrapped in a blanket of a golden smoke, the city outside is a tiny joke.
I'm counting heartbeats in a rivering tide, with nothing left to prove and less to hide. The ashes falling like a quiet snow, letting every heavy memory go. Clouded visions in steady stream, floating silent in awakened dream. The air gets thick with the herbal heat, gravity is falling to a slow beat. Hold the breath until the world goes gray, let the midnight wash the noise away. Floated easy through the indigo, nowhere left for a restless soul to go. Just spark and alarm release, finding corners of a jagged piece. Keep it rolling till the morning light, drifting through the nectar of the night. miles away. Float easy through the indigo. Nowhere left for a restless soul to go. Just a spark and a long release. Finding corners of a jagged piece. Keep it rolling till the morning light. Drifting through the nectar of the night.
The clock face freezes at the 0 mark. Slow burning cherries glowing in the dark. Gravity lost its grip on the cellar floor. I ain't looking for the handle on the door. The sky is thick like curdle making silk. Drinking deep from the heavy nature of my ilk. My eyelids weigh a turn of ancient gold. Watching the silver stories of the night unfold. Exhaling ghosts that dance around the lamp. The air is heavy and the spirit stays down. I'm sinking through the cushions to the core. Don't need a reason to exist here anymore. The quiet is a hammer hitting velvet nails. I'm drifting out beyond the weather and the sails. A hazy kingdom built on static and on smoke. Finding the punchline inside a cosmic joke. Floating on a cloud that never needs to rain. Losing every tether to the worry and the pain. The atmosphere is turning into liquid slow. There is no one left for us to start to go. Just a steady pull of the deep green tide. With nothing left to prove and nothing left to hide. The world is just a pebble in my weary hand. Sifting through the hours like a grain of sand. Floating on a cloud that never needs to rain. Losing every tether to the worry and the pain. The atmosphere is turning into liquid slow. There is no one left for us to start to go. Just a steady pull of the deep green tide. With nothing left to prove and nothing left to hide. The world is just a pebble in my weary hand. Sifting through the hours like a grain of sand. The shadows stretch like cats across the rug. Wrapped in the warmth of a heavy hempen hug. The walls are breathing with the rhythmic sigh. I see the truth of everything with the tired eye. No ladders left to climb up to the moon. The universe is humming a low and jagged tune. My thoughts are moving like molasses in the cold. Stories of tomorrow already getting old. Round counting rings inside a redwood tree. Safe inside the lock because I threw away the key. The ceiling is a canvas stained gray and blue. Everything is distant and nothing feels quite true. The static on the radio is singing me to sleep. The promises I made and promises I keep. In the temple of the lounge where the incense burns. Waiting for the planet as it slowly turns. Floats on a cloud but never needs to rain. Losing every tether to the worry and the pain. The atmosphere is turning into liquid slow. There is no one left for a rest of something wrong. Just a static pull of the deep green tide. With nothing left to prove and nothing left to hide. The world is just a pebble in my weary hand. Sifting through the hours like a grain of sand. Floating on the cloud and never needs to rain. Losing every tether to the worry and the pain. The atmosphere is turning into liquid slow. There is no one left for a rest of something wrong. Just a steady pull of the deep green tide. With nothing left to prove and nothing left to hide. The world is just a pebble in my weary hand. Sifting through the hours like a grain of sand. Grain of sand. Sifting through the hours like a grain of sand. Clock is bleeding, shadows on the hardwood floor. While the heavy smoke dances toward the bolted door. I watch the minute hand stumble and lose its pace. Tracing the hollow lines mapped across my face. The embers of jewels burning in a ceramic tray. Wishing the restless sunlight would just stay away. My lungs are heavy, curtains pulled against the night. Drowning the sharp edges of the kitchen light. Floating on the velvet layers of the thick gray gloom. A slow tide rising in the silent room. The gravity's on and the anchor has decayed. Sitting in the rubble of the plans we never made. Just a quiet exhale in the center of the deep. Arching the weary city sink away to sleep.
There is a crack in the ceiling shaped like a jagged lung, singing all the melodies that never found a tongue. The calendar is lying about the passing of the years. I can hear the machinery turning in my ears. The green dust is settling on the pages of the past. Nothing in this hazy kingdom was ever meant to last. The cold vapor rising from a porcelain cup, waiting for the wreckage to finally burn up. The windows are blind and the mirrors are wide. There is nowhere for the ghost of the morning to hide. We are counting the sparks until the oxygen dies, reading the gospel in each other's glassy eyes. The universe shrunk down to the size of a seed, planting a harvest that the lonely people need. Floating on the velvet layers of the thick gray gloom. A slow tide rising in the silent room. The gravity is gone and the anchor has decayed. Sitting in the rubble of the plan we never made. Just a quiet exhale in the center of the deep, watching the weary city sink away to sleep. Yeah. The clock is bleeding shadows on the hardwood floor. Static in the walls and a rattling at the door. I am chasing heavy smoke through a labyrinth of blue, tangled in the velvet cords and searching for a clue. The street lamp has a fever casting amber on the pane, washing out the residue of all this mental strain. I pulled a heavy silence, keeping to my cooling chest, watching every jagged thought finally come to rest. Oh, goes a playing slide guitar inside my weary head, notes like liquid obsidian dripping on the bed. The radiator hums a delta groove from deep below. Everything is syrup now, moving soft and moving slow. I felt a different rabbit up beneath the sofa springs, lighter than the oxygen and what the evening brings. I am drifting past the chimney tops into the vacant air, with nothing but the silver haze to tell me that I'm there. Take a long slow breath before the morning cuts the line. Wait until the stars collapse and everything is fine. There is a secret frequency between the tick and tock, a universe that opens when you leave the door unlocked. Just ride a steady current through the violet and the gray, waiting for the heavy bells to tell us it is day. Yeah. Ceiling is a canvas painted thick with indigo. A million miles to travel with nowhere left to go. The ashtray is a monument to hours passed in vain, while jazz is falling softly like a warm and steady rain. My pulse is just a metronome buried in the wall, holding back the vacancy and catching every fall. The moon is just a marble rolling down a dusty street, where the bitter and the beautiful are finally bound to meet. My fingertips are humming with the current made of lead, folding up the memories of everything I said. There is a hollow comfort in the way the shadows lean, living in the spaces that are tucked away and seen. The midnight is an ocean and I'm ready for the dive, feeling like for once I might be actually alive. Take a long slow breath before the morning cuts the line. Wait until the stars collapse and everything is fine. There is a secret frequency between the tick and tock, a universe that opens when you leave the door unlocked. Just ride a steady current to the violet and the gray, waiting for the heavy bells to tell us it is day.
with the ceiling fan. Clock hands frozen in a slow motion crawl, wrapped in the heavy scent of the rolling harvest, falling upward through the velvet floor. Heavy eyelids painting shadows on the rug, floating where the oxygen grows, thick and sweet. Yeah, matches striking sparks in the hollow quiet. The glass mouthpiece hums a low vibration, burning through the dry leaves of the calendar until the date is just a smudge of charcoal. I am tracing the grain of the wooden table, finding maps in the knots of ancient timber. The radiator sighs like a tired giant, while the city outside shrinks to a tiny pebble. Gray smoke tangles with the ceiling fan. Clock hands frozen in a slow motion crawl, wrapped in the heavy scent of the rolling harvest, falling upward through the velvet floor. Heavy eyelids painting shadows on the rug, floating where the oxygen grows, thick and sweet. The fridge is buzzing a jagged lullaby, deep inside the sofa where the loose change sleeps. My spine is made of soft melting candle wax, dripping down into the center of the globe. Every thought has a long tail of silk, tying knots around the legs of the furniture. Gravity is just a suggestion I forgot to read in the blue haze of the 12 o'clock bridge. Yeah, gray smoke tangles with the ceiling fan. Clock hands frozen in the slow motion roll, wrapped in the heavy scent of the rolling harvest, falling upward through the velvet floor. Heavy eyelids painting shadows on the rug, floating where the oxygen grows, thick and sweet. Gray smoke tangles with the ceiling fan. Clock hands frozen in the slow motion roll, wrapped in the heavy scent of the rolling harvest, falling upward through the velvet floor. Heavy eyelids painting shadows on the rug, floating where the oxygen grows,